All right, Cecil. So this first story comes from the Friendly Atheist. Texas is about to push Bible lessons in public elementary schools. Texas is poised to adopt the Bluebonnet Learning Curriculum, which critics argue embeds Christian teachings into public elementary school education under the guise of secular instruction. Despite claims of promoting cultural literacy, the curriculum emphasizes Bible stories as historical fact, includes religious figures like Queen Esther alongside real historical activists, and prioritizes Christian narratives while sidelining other religions. While optional, financial incentives for low-income districts make it likely to be widely implemented, sparking concerns about violations of church-state separation and academic integrity.
This is a fucking horror show of not only manipulation by that government to try to get lower income places, because they were promising $40 to $60 per student if they follow this curriculum.
Yeah.
So they're promising a lot of money, a lot of state money to go to these schools if they follow this very specific Bluebonnet curriculum. And the Bluebonnet curriculum really does, it centers religion. What it does is it centers Christianity. And everything from history to other things that are, pretty much throughout history, and even some things that aren't historical related will have Christianity inserted to them. One of the examples was they were talking about how people were learning about Leonardo da Vinci, but they spent a lot of time talking about the Last Supper picture instead of talking about all the other stuff that he did, right?
Right.
They're spending a lot of time talking about the religious aspect of those people's lives, talking about religious aspect of, certain people's speeches rather than focusing on other parts of the speech that is more important and had a bigger, a greater meaning at the time. That's the problem with this is that it's centering Christianity as the thing that we're going to talk about, and everything is sort of centered around it. And it's a terrible system, but this is exactly what you would expect from a system that literally is put in by Christian nationalists.
Yeah, well, the first publisher that they went to, they were like, yeah, can you make textbooks, but like religious ones? And the first publisher was like, no. So they had to go to a specifically like crazy religious publisher to be like, hey, we want crazy religious nonsense in our textbooks. Also, yeehaw, Texas.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, yeah, we've got you. No problem. It strikes me too, like, how insecure are you? Imagine this. You believe that you have an omniscient, omnipotent God, the God that created time itself, time, space, every law of physics, chemistry, etc., created life from nothing. That guy is on your side. And you're like, still not enough, not compelling enough. I want it in the textbooks. Yeah. How fucking weak is that? How weak is that argument that you're like, I know I've got like literally the most powerful conceptually possible force behind me on this one, but I'm still going to have to rig the scales so that little kids, because I know that if I tell these crazy stories to adults or even semi-adults, it's so weird as somebody who's like raised kids now that are like coming up on 18. I've got 2 kids they'll be 18 here in like 5 minutes. And like, they've not been raised religiously. And when I say that, they don't really know Bible stories at all. Like, they don't really even have the full narrative of the Bible. They don't know what it's all about. And every once in a while, something will come up and like somebody in the household will be like, well, how does that work? And I'll be like, and then you say it out loud and everybody looks at you like, the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I know, man.
Stupid as shit. Yeah.
This is fucking crazy. It's like, it's only not crazy if you hear it as a kid. See, and that's the thing. I was like, if you just try to tell somebody the story of Jesus, just the broad outline of Jesus, and you just come at it like objectively from the top, you're just like, not even trying to be snarky about it. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, it literally, you cannot make it make sense, because the only way it makes sense is if you start with this sort of like whole foundational underpinning of sin and salvation. But if you don't start there, if you have to bring that in from the outside because you don't have that, you've got to be like, all right, so, because it all is so crazy. And like reasonable people will look at you and be like, well, that just doesn't make any sense. You'd be like, I know, I fucking, of course not.
I also think too that, even if you bring in, it's for the metaphors, it'd be like, well, get better metaphors.
They're not even good metaphors.
Get a better metaphor because you're bad at it. Those metaphors are bad. Those metaphors are bad, and I can prove it to you when, one of the people is using your book to deport millions of people. Like I
Right.
can already prove it to you. Your metaphor is bad.